Yeah. Your boy Deal 47am PM pop off all day for real, revisiting as much rugby league information as possible on D47's rugby league stats. Right now, the 1994 wooden spoon in the Australian Rugby League, unfortunately going to the Balmain Tigers. And so don't miss any crucial rugby league information watching this video all the way through to the end as per always. So, this time, 1994, supposed to be the dawn of a brand new exciting era in Australian Rugby League. There were 16 teams in the comp for 1994. 4 brand new teams were coming along in 1995. The Cowboys and the Warriors, who still participate to this very day, and also the Perth Reds, Western Reds, and also the South Queensland Crushers were coming along for the 1995 season. The Crushers and the Reds didn't last very long. Crushers actually got a couple of wooden spoons in 96 and 97, which are coming up soon. It was supposed to be like the dawn just before the fantastic new era. But of course, in 1995, the Super League War took hold and rugby league became undone in Australia, so to speak. We'll get to that in the next few wooden spoons, 95, 96 and 97. We'll discuss that more. But in 94, it's got particular fond memories for me because it was the very first season that I watched the full season of rugby league. Watched like as many games as I could. 92, 93, I'd watched it half-heartedly, but really got into it in 94. But the only sour note was the fact that Balmain, of all teams, got the wooden spoon in 1994. I've said already, Balmain got 3 other wooden spoons, 1911, 1974 and 1981. And on those 3 occasions, they were far from disgrace and they only just got the wooden spoon. But this time in 1994, there's no way they weren't getting it. It was easily the worst year in their history and they got it by a country mile. They won just 4 games and lost 18 out of the 22 games in 1994. At one point losing 10 consecutive games in the season. And also having 8, no fewer than 8 contenders for most embarrassing game in 1994. So, of course, they got it. So, with Balmain, like I said, such a shame, because they was once such a proud club. The first year, 1908, they were a foundation team. So, 1908 all the way up to 1990. They'd won 11 premierships. They'd made the finals more often than not. They'd forged a legendary reputation at their home ground, Leichhardt Oval. They weren't unbeatable, but always extremely hard to beat there. And had some fantastic battles, like with other heavyweight teams throughout the decades. But it all came undone in the 1990s. 1991 up to 1999. Like, they didn't make the finals once. They slowly died out and eventually had to merge with West at the end of the 1999 season to make the West Tigers in the year 2000. So this year in 94, it was so poor, in fact, that at the end of the season, they decided to change the name to the Sydney Tigers and move over to the old Parramatta Stadium, not Combank Stadium, the old Parramatta Stadium. They actually moved there for 1995 and 1996 seasons after this wretched year in 94, but that didn't work, and eventually they just went back to Balmain and back to Leichhardt in 1997. So, for them to change their name and move to a different home ground, it must have been a season from hell, easily the worst season in their history, and they had 3 players and 3 players only who could hold their head high. The legendary fullback Tim Brasher, the legendary hooker Benny Elias, and the legendary second row Paul Siren. 3 stalwarts of the club, and the only 3 players that really contributed anything positive to the team in 1994. So, their stats in 1994, like I said, 22 games, they only won 4 and lost the other 18. At one point losing 10 consecutive games between round 10 and round 19. They scored only 303 points and conceded 642 in defence. So that's nearly 30 points per game they were conceding in defence. And they, like I just said, scored less than half the points that they conceded, unfortunately. So what's the for and against? 303 and 642. Yeah, over minus 339. Minus 339 for and against. Diabolical. So obviously there's some monster scorelines they have conceded, which we'll get to in a few minutes. And their leading scorer, yeah, like I said, Tim Brasher, one of only 3 players doing anything. Tim Brasher was the leading try scorer and point scorer. His 12 tries and 20 goals was a total of 88 points. It made him the leading try scorer and point scorer for Balmain in 1994. And they had another player called Greg Burke, who got 3 tries and 21 goals, 54 points. So he was did a little something. I'm pretty sure he wasn't happy with everything that was happening, and he actually resigned midway through the season. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me. I'm pretty sure. Greg Burke got something, then he retired. I think he went to the Australian Army, something like that. But anyway, into the games. So like I said, the first moments in the sun, the first 3 rounds of 1994 was the only time in the season Balmain had anything to cheer about. And then round 4, only round 4 early on in the season, found themselves stuck in mud, and they weren't getting out of it for the rest of the season. 1994, round 1, 2 and 3, the moments in the sun. So round 1, they'd lost to North 33-22 at Leichhardt. Okay. 33 points, but it was only an 11-point loss at least. Round 2, they beat Parramatta 14-12 at the old Parramatta Stadium. And round 3, they beat the struggling Gold Coast Seagulls 40-18 at Leichhardt. So the first 3 games, they had something to cheer about, but like I said, they then won only 2 more games the rest of the year. So that means they lost 17 out of the last 19 games in 994. Wretched. The only other 2 games they won, 994 round 9, upset 26-22 win over Newcastle Knights at Leichhardt Oval. And then finally in round 20, 1994, a win over the Roosters at the old Sydney Football Stadium 23-16. So obviously rounds 10 to 19, they've lost 10 straight games, as well as losing 17 out of the last 19 altogether. So then, like I said, there's no less than 8 contenders for most embarrassing moment. My personal opinion is the 1994 round 18 game when they lost the Gold Coast Seagulls of all teams, 32 points to 6. But let me drop a comment below. Tell me what you think's the most embarrassing moment out of all these games I'm about to mention. So Balmain Tigers, 8 contenders for most embarrassing game in 1994. 1994 round 4, 46-6 hiding from St George at Cogra. 1994 round 5, 40 points to 10 hiding from Roosters in front of their home fans at Leichhardt Oval. 1994 round 6, a shutout, not a single point, 24-0 hiding from Penrith over at the Wacker. The game was moved over to the Wacker Stadium in Perth, and Penrith didn't let them score a single point, 24 points to 0. But unfortunately, that wasn't the only time Balmain got held scoreless in 1994. 1994 round 11, a 42-0 demolition by Manly at Leichhardt Oval in front of the home fans. 1994 round 15, 36-0 demolition from Canberra at Leichhardt in front of the home fans. So 3 times. 3 times in 1994, Balmain had been held scoreless. Unthinkable for what was once such a proud team for so many decades. Unthinkable that they could be reduced to such a rabble, so to speak. You'll find too that most wooden spoon teams, they don't get held scoreless in any of their games during the season. Well, maybe once. You'll find that most of the time, the most any team gets held scoreless in any season is once and once only. But 3 times before at Balmain in 1994, they were held scoreless. So then, after that, at least they were scoring some points, but the humiliations didn't stop. 1994 round 16, 54-18 demolition from Norths at North Sydney Oval, in which Norths player Ivan Cleary piled on 4 tries in the one game to embarrass them even more. Then, like I said, my personal opinion, 1994 round 18, 32 points to 6 flogging from the Gold Coast Seagulls up at Seagull Stadium. Seagulls of all team, which I previously mentioned, got 3 consecutive wooden spoons, 1991, 92 and 93. So wow. You know what I mean? Wow, losing to them of all useless teams, 32 points to 6. Then the final humiliation, 1994 round 22, the final game of the year, 41 points to 6 hiding from Brisbane Broncos up at QE2 Stadium, not Suncorp Stadium where Broncos are now, the one of the previous home grounds they had at the time. So that 41 points to 6 win by Brisbane over Balmain, that enabled Broncos to pinch 5th spot in the 1994 final series. It meant that Brisbane could make the finals, and so just another embarrassing moment for Balmain, basically. So poor old Balmain. For many, many decades, such a proud club for many, many decades, reduced to a mere rubble in 1994. And then 1995 up to 1999, at least they didn't get another wooden spoon, but they also weren't winning very many games either. They were avoiding the spoon and not doing anything else, basically, until they eventually had to merge with West for the 2000 season. So there you go, 1994 wooden spoon popped off for real all day, AM, PM. Thank you so much for watching all the way through to the end, as per requested, and not missing any crucial rugby league information. And thank you as per always for ongoing, pulverising, brutal, malevolent support. Your boy all day, D47, Toodaloo.